All right. All right. I don't know if anybody's going to come in or if you're going to catch this on the replay. Maybe I'll catch this on the replay. Um, but I just got a little bit of information that I want to share with you all. I've had this keyboard now for almost a year. Well, a little more than a year, I want to say. This was a Christmas present. I think it was Christmas. It was either Christmas or Father's Day, one of them. But this keyboard that I have, and I want to highly recommend this board for churches that want to get this board, get a keyboard, and you may be on a budget, may not have all of the resources, but even if you're on a budget, the way we acquired this board was through American Musical Supply. American Musical Supply is an awesome tool that you can use to get equipment. It's an awesome tool that you can use to get equipment where, it's an awesome tool that you can use to get equipment if you're on a budget where you can kind of put down a down payment and then pay monthly for whatever you want. They have everything from speakers, sound equipment, to instruments, drums, keyboards, whatever you need, they have. But this particular board is the Modx8. It's the Modx8. And in my opinion, this is probably one of the best keyboards that you can get at this price point. This runs about $2,000. Now I'm gonna be honest. If you're a church and you don't want to invest in your musical equipment, you just don't want to grow. I'm just gonna come flat out, and I'm gonna say that. You show me the church that's willing to invest in their music, I show you a growing ministry, a ministry that wants to grow. But one thing that I don't believe that any church should require, no church should ever require their musicians to have to bring equipment from home. Okay? I'm going to say that again. No church should require musicians to have to bring their own equipment, whether it's drums, whether it's keyboards, you know what I'm saying? The most musicians should have to bring is their knowledge and their gift and their anointing, their ability. That's the most a musician should have to bring. And I see more and more nowadays of musicians not bringing equipment by choice, but bringing equipment by necessity because the churches are just not keeping up with their equipment. They're not keeping up with their equipment. A lot of these churches are still operating off of equipment that they bought 20 years ago. It's 2022, y'all. Okay. It's time to upgrade. Okay. There's a lot of, I just mentioned American Musical Supply. Okay. I just, I know Deshaun, they're not gonna like this, but you know what? Like I said, I'm no longer in the game, so I can say stuff that most musicians are afraid to say and won't say. You know what I'm saying? So I don't have to bite my tongue because I don't have a church. I'm not in position, so to speak. You know, nor do I want to be. I'm just being honest. You know, I'm enjoying my life. Every now and then I might freelance and, fill in somewhere. You know what I'm saying? But this is getting to be a real problem that I see across the board. Okay, I walk into churches and I'm seeing, keyboards that are broken down, no sustain pedal, keys missing. Come on. It's crazy. You know what I'm saying? And there's no excuse for it. Okay. I see drummers having to bring their own equipment, bring their own drums, setting up their own drum sets in churches. Okay. It's enough of this. Real talk. It's enough. So, I mean, I just want to this board that I got right here, it only costs about $2,000. Okay, it's not a lot of money. It's not, and it's real user friendly. It's a user friendly board. You know what I'm saying? And I'm gonna tell you, it's probably my favorite board. Now, what I like about the Modx is that it has a lot of the sounds, if not all of the sounds, that the Montage has. Okay, so now I do know that the main sounds that most keyboardists want to use is already in the Montage. I mean, in the Modx. I do know that you can do your layers and things like that. The only problem that I have with this keyboard is polyphony. Okay. But once again, it's the price point. Okay, so you're not gonna you're gonna have something missing. You know what I mean? So the polyphony is not that great on the board. But there are ways. I did find there are ways around it if you have a knowledgeable musician. Yes, this board does have weighted keys. Okay, it has weighted keys. It's the Modx8, which it has 88 keys. They are weighted. Now it's not gonna feel like the Montage. I'm gonna just be honest with you. It's not gonna feel like the Montage. It's not gonna feel like the Motif. Okay, this is gonna feel more like a Modx, what is it? The Modx8. The basically the step down from the Montage, from the Motif. So like this is entry level, okay, which is why I'm suggesting this for ministries that are on a budget. Now, I'm not talking to the ministries that got money and a great budget. I'm talking about ministries that might 100 members or less, or maybe you're struggling with tithes and offering, but you need something. Because if you're going to want to hire a musician, I'm going to say this. If you're going to want to hire a musician, you're going to want to make sure you got something for that musician to play. Especially if you don't have the budget to pay a musician. Okay. Because I'm going to tell you like this. It doesn't make sense for you to say, well, we're going to pay you, $200 a Sunday, but you got to bring your own keyboard. Nah, bro. That's dead too. Okay. If you paying me $200 a Sunday, you at least need to have something decent for me to play. Okay. And I'm being generous when I say 200, because I ain't sitting on nobody's organ for 200, but that's another story. But we gotta look at that now. I'm gonna play a couple of the sounds because I know people probably have heard me kind of do stuff, but I never really explained the Modx and things like that. Now, the Modx, like I said, I suggest this for churches that are on a budget. It runs in the neighborhood of $2,000. You can get it on American Musical Supply, and then you can do a down payment and then pay monthly. You know what I'm saying? So you can get it and then pay on it, so to speak. So, but this is a good board. This is an excellent board for growing ministries. All right. So, starting off, you have, it has the interface kind of like what a Montage would have. Okay, if anybody that's familiar with the Montage, you know what I'm talking about. It has the screen. It has 4 faders. So you can do up to you could do more than 4 layers. I don't suggest it, but but you can do up to 4 where you're using the layers. Okay, I mean the faders. I like the faders. I did not care for the Mo keyboards. What is what? Talk about this board, Joe? He said, "What is that?" This is the Mo DX. Okay. Like I said before, the main issue I have with it is the polyphony is not great on this board. But like I said, you can work around it. There are workarounds for knowledgeable musicians that know what they're doing. Yeah, it's the Modx8. Okay, so you got the piano. The main piano on here is called the CFX. Some people like it. It's okay. It's a little light for my taste. But this is kind of how it sounds. So this is the CFX, right? It has all of the different it has a bunch of different sounds. Now what I did, I got and downloaded what was called the Motif Gospel Pack. This musician, I guess you could call him like a sound tech, or not a sound tech, but a company called VGST. I forget, something like that. But he made some of the old gospel sets and things like that, sounds. Some of the sounds, and one of the things that he had in there that I always liked from the original Motif, which not the original Motif, it was actually the ES8. It was the ES8 he had from the ES8. If I can find it, here it is. He had the full grand in there, and I always loved the full grand. Joe, I get what you're saying, and I agree, but I'm talking about, some of these churches ain't gonna spend $4,000 for a keyboard. I'm just gonna, and which is sad to say, but it's also true. And I'm seeing a lot of churches, like I said earlier, I'm seeing a lot of churches that's basically making musicians bring their own equipment. You know what I'm saying? Now, some musicians are doing that out of choice, but some musicians are doing it because the church don't have nothing. And for a church not to have nothing is just inexcusable. So I'm just trying to, to put this out there that this is something that a church can get if they can't afford a montage. If it was up to me, every church would have a Nord or a montage. You know what I'm saying? Or a Chronos. But the reality is that some of these churches either don't care to do it or don't have the budget for it. You know what I'm saying? So yeah, he said they should merge. Hi, yeah. That's a whole nother message in itself. That's a whole nother message in itself, because then you got to deal with egotistical, but I'm gonna just leave that alone, because some churches with their 2 members ain't gonna merge because they're too egotistical, but I'm gonna leave that alone. But he said they should merge. Yeah. But truthfully, I see churches with decent budgets still not getting equipment. You know what I mean? Still rocking keyboards. Don't get me wrong. Don't get me wrong when I say this, because the ES8 is one of my favorite boards. But my God, you should have graduated from the ES8 by now. Okay? You should have graduated. Yeah. And I get that. But then there are some that just don't have the budget or don't know how to manage, don't know how to manage or don't have the right person over the money. You know, you're getting into a lot of stuff when you're talking about some of these churches. You know what I'm saying? It's easy for, as a musician, to just demand that they should get this and that and the other. But, you know, then you got some churches that just don't know. You know what I'm saying? So I'm just trying to offer a solution to kind of meet them halfway. Like, dude, if you can't get a Nord, if you can't get a montage, you know what I'm saying? This is something, it's a step down, but you can at least get something in the door. Because I know some churches, they don't have nothing at all. You walk up in there and it's like, what do y'all have? Yeah, we ain't really got nothing. You know, I know several churches in this area that don't even, have nothing, you know. So it's crazy. But like, yeah, so you got this this joint here, the full grand. Now, there's a difference between the full grand and the full concert grand. The full concert grand is available on everything above that came out after the ES8, if I'm not mistaken. And believe it or not, I've never owned any of the newer motifs. I've only owned personally. I've only owned the original motif, and then I got when I played at Davenport's church, he had an ES8 that he got while I was there when it first came out. But other than that, this full grand is on the ES8. But I downloaded it and put it into this keyboard. So if, like I said, if you got knowledgeable, if you just get the board and you get knowledgeable musicians, they'll know what to do with it. But sometimes you just got to give people something to work with. If I have nothing to work with, or a musician has nothing to work with, that's where the problem comes in at. So I did, I downloaded certain sounds and everything, and then I started to make up my own live sets. You can do what's called a live set on here, where you can navigate through different sounds, pretty quickly and easily. Not just sounds, but you can navigate through different performances. They call them performances, layers, however you want to call it. On this pack that I downloaded, you have some of the MKS stuff. Now, some people love the MKS. Some people say it's obsolete. I find and see that it's making a comeback, but it's not making a comeback in the form of the original MKS 20. Now people are making basically making virtual software that that is like you have MK Sensations, then you got this guy VGS Music or whatever, and so this is one of the sounds that I made called MKS Worship. There we go. There we go. So and I mean, just this instrument alone, can enhance the sound of your worship service. So what I have in here, I can't really remember what all I put in here. I know I have piano 1 as the piano in this one, which is yeah, that's piano 1. And then I added piano EP2, the EP2 with chorus. And then I added, what strings is this? I forget what strings. I know it's one out of the, On's Mix. I think this is On's Mix. And then analog. And this is basically the layer that I have. So I have 4 layers in this. And, you know, just a simple layer like that, you know what I'm saying? You don't have to do the same exact thing that I did. Like I said, I'm not a musician, not really playing in the church like that anymore. So I just do stuff to, you know, have fun around the house with. But, you know, you can use you can use this in church with no problem. So if you got somebody that's competent and knows what they're doing, you know, I'm just saying get the instrument in your church, and then, you know, eventually you'll be able to get somebody that's competent, hopefully that knows what they're doing with it. You know, you can get a great instrument. You get a motif or a Nord in your church, but if you got somebody that doesn't know what they're doing on the instrument, then what good is it to even have that instrument? But at least if you get you know, this board, you'll have something, and now all you have to do is just, you know, pray God sends you somebody that knows what they're doing. So, you know, then of course there's there's you know, other different, you know, horns and things like that, synth sounds that you can use, you know what I'm saying? But I usually like to now also I if you don't have a drummer or you don't have a what I like about this board too, if you don't have a drummer or you don't have you know, a whole lot of other things, you can hook things into this instrument, you know what I'm saying, or even program this instrument to add other instruments or other sounds along with while you're playing. You know what I'm saying? You could add click tracks and things like that inside the instrument, or you can connect a outside piece like a phone or something into the instrument and still be able to get what you need. You know? So So you can add and sounds in, pull sounds out, hook up your clicks right into the keyboard, and boom, you got everything you need right then and there. So that's what I'm saying. There's no reason for for any church not to have something, okay, decent, something relevant. You know what I'm saying? And like I said, it's not an expensive board. It's like $2,000. I know it might sound expensive to some people, but you can, like I said, you can order it off of American Musical Supply or Sweetwater and pay monthly. You know what I'm saying? The thing is to actually just get out there and get it done. Don't wait and hesitate, and because I mean, it's past time for some of these ministries to, come up off of it and get some equipment in y'all's churches, like for real, because this is just, it's getting crazy. It's really getting crazy. Real talk, Do you have to get a montage? No, you ain't got to get a montage. I know some musicians, they swear up and down, if you don't get a montage. No, you don't have to get a montage. That's what I was trying to explain. You don't have to get a montage. You can get something that's decent, Now, if you got the money to get a montage, you got the budget to get a montage, by all means. I wish I had the money to get a montage. Well, I kind of do, but, get something worthwhile getting, that a musician can sit down at the board and feel comfortable that he can get the sound out of it that he wants or that he needs to enhance the ministry. And that's all that's all I'm really trying to convey is, get equipment, get some boards up in there. I know every church is not going to be able to afford, a $12,000 Hammond organ. I would love for churches to invest in Hammonds, but not every church can do that. Not every church can get and have $4,000 to go and buy a Nord. I get that, but my gosh, let's start somewhere. Start somewhere. This is entry level. This is not top of the line by any means. This is entry level, but this is entry level that gets the job done. This is not just in entry level. No, I mean, listen to the thing. This is a good sounding board. This doesn't sound like chicken scratch. It's a good, solid board. So I just wanted to come on and encourage somebody. I don't know why I did this, but, somebody need to hear it. Somebody might be looking, in the market to get in a board or thinking about what can we get. Let me tell you something. If you haven't bought a keyboard for your ministry in the last 10 years, you need to get on this now. Okay, that's how you kind of know who need to be on. If your church ain't bought a board in the last 10 years, you need to get on this. Real talk. Because I mean, let's be honest. Come on, it's time to get something new. And like I said, if you can't get a montage, this is entry level. You get in there, you get this. You know what I'm saying? And most musicians, may have their own stuff anyway, that they may want to bring. I'm not saying that, musicians don't bring stuff to, there's musicians that bring their equipment. They want to play a motif and they ain't going to play nothing else but a motif. So they're going to bring their own motif. Great. A lot of times musicians bring stuff because they have their sounds already saved in the board. Like I carry this wherever I go, because I got my sound already in this board. I know where everything is. I know how to operate it. And that's why I use this board. That's why I bring it with me wherever I go. You know what I'm saying? Unless it's a church that I know that got good equipment or got an organ. If I know your church got a good organ, I don't need to bring. But if you see me walking up in this board that in a church with this board, that's because I ain't comfortable on what you got. So you need to you need to jump on this. You know what I'm saying? Not necessarily just this board, but I mean, there's some churches that got organs sitting up in their church. Yo, fix your organs, fix your drums. I'm just letting folk know. You know what I'm saying? This is a public service announcement. You know what I'm saying? It's time out for ministries to stop being, thinking that the music is the last. Why is the music always the last thing in the church to be addressed, but it's the first thing you hear when you walk into a church? I'm sorry. It's the last thing that churches address, but it's the first thing you hear when you walk into that church. If you on time. If you walk in on time, what do you hear? You hear the praise and worship. You hear somebody on that keyboard, somebody on the drum, but it's the last thing that churches address, when it comes to the upkeep of the ministry. We don't get our organs fixed. We don't get our drums tuned. Come on. It's sloppy. It's sloppy. You know what I'm saying? And the first thing we want to cry is, well, it costs too much. It's if you allow equipment to go unserviced, it's going to cost even more, because it's going to cost more to either fix it or it's going to cost more to replace it. So my thing is, go ahead and invest in decent equipment. This keyboard right here, this Yamaha Modx is a good board to invest in. I promise you and then if you have to go out, like say for instance, you're a traveling church and you got to go out. The thing I love about this board is it is a light board. So it's not a burden to carry. That's another thing to look at when especially if you're a traveling church. A Montage is a good board. It's a great board. But guess what? A Montage is a beast to carry. You know what I'm saying? I don't know about the Nord too much. I don't know how what's up, Gabriel? I don't know about the Nord, how heavy that is. You know what I'm saying? But the Montage, I believe, is a beast to carry, and I know the Motif was heavy, okay, but these boards are not that heavy, and they are it's like I said, it's entry level. You know what I'm saying? But at some point, you gotta, a MoDX. Exactly, that's what I thought. I don't have one, but I kind of figured that the Montage is mad heavy. You know what I'm saying? So and that's the thing, you got to think about too, if you're a church that's looking for a board, do we travel a lot? And do we travel a lot of times to churches that don't have equipment? So are we going to require our musicians when we travel to bring the equipment with us? I played for churches where they was like, hey, you're going to need to bring your keyboard with you. Now, if I got to carry a big old Motif, I'm going to be mad. But if I got something like this that gives me the range, it gives me the range that I need, gives me the sound that I need, you know what I'm saying? But I don't have to, worry about, oh my God, it's a 500-pound keyboard. That makes a difference. You know what I'm saying? So those are things to think about too, not just price, but, durability. Am I going to, is my musicians going to have to lug these, lug this board with them every time, the church goes out and things like that. So there's a lot of things to think about, you know what I'm saying? And like I said, most musicians do have their own equipment, but no musician should be required to bring to bring their own equipment to church. And that's what I'm addressing. I'm addressing these churches that just don't have nothing or don't have decent equipment. If I roll up on your church and all you got in your church is a Casio that's from 15 years ago, that's who I'm talking to right now. It's time to upgrade. It's straight up time to upgrade. You know what I'm saying? So I know many people probably ain't gonna look at this, but then there might be some pastors and there are churches that may just, you don't have a knowledgeable musician that can guide you in the right direction, but you want to get something for your church. You know what I'm saying? You know, not every church is just cheap. There's some churches that just don't know what to get. We want a keyboard, but we don't know what to get. I'm giving you a suggestion. Okay, I'm giving you a suggestion. I ain't saying go out and get it. I'm giving you a suggestion that this is a good board for a ministry to get, that is either challenged financially, you know what I'm saying, or just looking for something in a lower price point for whatever the reason. This is a good board to get. It doesn't weigh a lot. It's user friendly. That's another thing that you want to consider a board that is user friendly. This board is user friendly. Okay. There is a learning curve, but it is user friendly. You know what I'm saying? This is the kind of board that, you know, you can just turn on and you'll get a decent sound out of it. Okay. And then, you know, once you dig into the board, no matter what keyboard you get, you need to dig into it. But once you dig into it, you can find out real nice things about this board that will just bless your socks off. You know what I'm saying? So, any pastors that are out there that's saying, you know, well, you know, we want to get the church a board, but we don't know what to get. This is my suggestion. Okay. Not just because I own it, but because I own it. And I know this board. I don't know some of them other boards that's out there, but I know this one. And as a musician, I can testify that you will get what you need out of this board. Like I said, the biggest thing about this board that I would warn anybody is the polyphony. So the polyphony. So in other words, if you layer too much, you know, if you layer the wrong sounds or certain sounds, some sounds are very weighty and carry a lot of and pull a lot of memory. Some sounds pull a lot of memory. So depending on what sounds you're trying to layer, you'll get drop notes. Okay. And I know in a lot of the Pentecostal churches, you know, they want you to do all of this. They want you to do all of that. Listen, if you ain't got an organ where you can hit the key and just ride that key, some of y'all need to chill too and realize the musicians is doing the best they can. And because you don't hear something, you know, sometimes you want us to make miracles out of inferior equipment. I'm just going to leave that. Okay, I'm going to stop. But you want us to roll the notes. But if you only got a keyboard where you can roll the notes on, the notes ain't going to roll. I don't care what you do. And this board, it can be limited. So you might not get a whole lot of that. You know what I'm saying? Sometimes the notes will drop out. Sometimes the notes will drop out and you gotta kind of make up for that. You know what I'm saying? But that's a whole nother thing. Some of y'all preachers be wanting us to do crazy stuff and we don't have the equipment to do it. Like, come on, chill. So, but anyway, I'm gonna get off my soapbox with that one. I'm telling y'all, I'm just glad I don't have to worry about that anymore. I just get on my bus and drive. I get on my bus and drive. But so the Modx, my recommendation for churches that are in the market for a keyboard that is that has a decent price point, that won't break your budget, but gives you what you need. What's up, EJ? Trying to school some folks. Okay. You can't afford a montage, but you want your church to sound like a montage. Can't afford a Nord. Well, I don't know what the step down for the Nord is, but I do know that you can download Nord sounds and put them in here. You can download the Nord keyboard sounds and put them in here. You know what I'm saying? But the price point is what I'm really getting at, is that if you're in the market for a board and you're saying, okay, I want something that I can plug in, is standalone, it's durable, it's something that, I can halfway get through a service, where you can get it through a service with this board with no problem. That's what I'm just trying to let people know, that this is a board that you can use to get you through a service, and it's user friendly, and it has a nice sound to it. You heard it, you know what it is. All right. I used the Modx8 until I could afford the Nord. Right, exactly. That's what I'm talking about. You know what I'm saying? Sometimes, like I said, EJ, like I said earlier, this is entry level. You know what I'm saying? This is entry level, and like and I'm recommending this to churches, because I know churches, for whatever reason, don't like to spend a lot of money on musical equipment, which I'll never understand for the life of me. I never have understood it. I never will understand it. I ain't trying to understand it. I just believe that if the first thing you hear when you walk into a church is the music, then that ought to be the thing that you address the most. I ain't got no witnesses on that. I said the first thing you hear when you walk into a church is music. If you get to church on time, what you walk in the middle of? Praise and worship. But for whatever reason, churches act like they like don't need to address it. Broke down organs, broke down drum sets, sound system sounds like, romper room. Come on, man. Like I said, I ain't trying to play for nobody's church, so I can say what I want. I love it. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. But I have said it since I've been a musician. I've said it since I started. You show me the church that is willing to invest in their sound, invest in their musical equipment, and train their praise teams properly. I show you the fastest growing church in that city. Period. Because music draws. Music draws. You want the musicians to play the tap foot music, the happy music, but you don't want to buy them the equipment to do it. So we need to address it. And so since I'm semi-retired, I can address it. I say what I want. And it's my Facebook page. So I say what I want on my Facebook page. Come on. Everybody knows, any decent musician knows that if you have a Hammond organ in your church, and I'm on a soapbox now, and I'm just on it. If you have a Hammond organ in your church, every 6 months you should have that thing serviced, at least every year, but definitely every year. You know what I'm saying? But these organs have to be oiled. The drawbars and everything have to be oiled. The Leslie has to be oiled, and it's a mechanical thing. What happens to your car if your car don't get oil? And then some of y'all wondering why y'all organs sound like trash, because you don't service them. Your organ sounds like trash because you wait till something break on it to get the organ repairing guy in. So you gotta address that. Drums, Don't change the head, always waiting on your drummer to change the head. Get that in your budget. Why does the drummer have to change the head on a church set? If the church actually owns the set, because half the time I walk into churches and find out the church don't even have a set, it's the drummer set, which is crazy. Drummer leave, your whole drum set gone. Mess around and play the drummer. The drum set gone. I mean, yo, Jerry, it's some crazy stuff I be seeing here in Durham, North Carolina, man. Crazy stuff I have never encountered until I got here. In New York, most of our churches, now I don't know how it is now, but in New York, most of the churches I played for in New York, at least had organ and drums. At least. Okay, I would probably bring my keyboard in, you know. I know when I played for Bible Way, I said this earlier. When I played for Bible Way had bought an ES8. It was the church's keyboard. They bought the ES8 when the thing first came out. Yeah. Wait, that's Crystal. I didn't even know that was Crystal set. That's crazy. And it's still at Moses. So they ain't bought a drum set yet. Come on, man. That's crazy. Well, I hope they paid her for it, at least. Wow. That's the kind of thing that drives me up the wall. And I never understood it, even as a musician. You know, my time serving as a musician, you know, is that, you know, why churches don't invest. You know what I'm saying? You want us to sing the song and sound like the album, but we don't have the equipment or the instrumentalist to do that. You know what I'm saying? You'll pay a guest speaker to come in for 45 minutes and yell at you and shout you, and you'll pay them $3,000, $4,000, $5,000. That's a Hammond organ. That is a organ right there. And you just paid Reverend Bobo or Bishop Tutu to come and preach for 45 minutes, and you handed him an honorarium for $4,000 or $5,000. I have no sympathy for churches that do that but won't address their equipment. That's who I'm talking to. And that's crazy. But I see it all the time. I see it all the time. You will bring preachers in from here, there, and everywhere. Raise $15,000 in one service, and not one penny go to your sound system. Not one penny go to fixing your organ. Not one penny. It's churches all over Durham that do that kind of mess. All the time. And nobody says nothing. Not one, musicians don't say nothing because we scared to lose our jobs. Well, I ain't playing for nobody and I don't care. So I'll say it since don't nobody else want to say it. It's disgusting. Disgusting. And I'm tired of it. It's crazy. And I dare any musician say I ain't telling the truth. Because you know I am. Real talk. It's time out for it. It's like, yo, address this. Get this right. Like, it's time to fix for churches to fix. I mean, here in Durham, I'm trying to think of one church that I played for. I don't care who's on here and hear what I'm saying. I'm trying to think of one church that had a decent sounding organ, and I can't think of one. Now, sometimes the organ would be decent when I leave, because I ain't playing no broke down organ. But when I would get there, the first thing I'm saying is, yo, this organ, this got to get fixed. I'm an organist. We got to fix this organ, you know. I think I can't think of one organ. Not I can't think of one organ that I've church that I've come to that has had a decent sounding, decent working organ when I get there. Yeah, exactly. It's crazy. You know what I'm saying? But you want your music right. If you want your music right, you gotta address the problems within the music ministry, within the equipment. You know what I'm saying? Go to your musicians and say, "Hey, what do we need to fix around here? What do we need to get up working?" You know what I'm saying? If you don't have a musician that's going to tell you the truth, go to somebody, find a knowledgeable sound tech, a knowledgeable musician, somebody that you know that knows music and knows Hammond organs. You know what I'm saying? And ask them, what do we need to fix? Thank you, Eric. Eric going to talk the truth, because Eric he know what an organ's supposed to sound like. That's my brother from New York. He know what's up. Okay. When I walk into a church, I can play keyboards. Okay. I can play keyboards. I'm a good keyboard player. But my main instrument, the instrument that I am most comfortable on, has always been the organ. But, it doesn't get addressed. You know what I'm saying? And like I said, organs have to be serviced. It's not just, okay, well, we got a Hammond organ over here. Okay, well, when the last time you've had your organ actually serviced? Now, I'm not talking about something broke on it. You know what I'm saying? I'm not talking about something broke on it and you called the organ repairman to come and fix what was broken. Because guess what? When you call the organ man to come and fix the fan in the Leslie, guess what? That's what he's going to fix. He's not going to address anything else. I'm talking about having your organ serviced. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. It's essential. It is essential. You know. If you got a Hammond organ in your church, like I said, 6 months, every 6 months to every year. At least I wouldn't go longer than a year without getting it serviced. It needs to be serviced. If nothing else, just have the organ man come in and look at it and play it and see that everything is working. Do you know drawbars, just the drawbars alone, can lose sound, can lose contact. Sometimes the pedals lose contact. Okay? Sometimes the felt in the pedal wears out and has to be replaced. Okay? These are things that need to be addressed. And so now you got organists that get up on the organ, half the pedals don't work, half the drawbars don't work. The Leslie sound like sandpaper when you switch it. Come on, man. No, these things need to be addressed, when it comes to organs and keyboards and things like that. If you want to have a strong music ministry, your equipment needs to be addressed. Okay? It needs to be dealt with. It really does. You need to have a budget set aside. Every church needs to have a budget set aside. Okay? Needs to have a budget set aside for repair. Your organ breakdown on Sunday, on Sunday, you want to get it fixed by next Sunday at least, if you can get the organ man to come and see it. So I didn't really come on here to say all of that. I just came to tell y'all about the Modx, but this is stuff that has really been weighing on me for years. for years, I've encountered this at every church I've played for, every single church I've played for. There's not one church that I have not experienced this. And it's sad. But I'm not going to sit. Like I said, I don't owe nobody nothing. So I can say what I need to say now, because I'm not hungry to go out there and play for a church. And I might be burning bridges, but guess what? I'd rather burn the bridge and burn these bridges and get y'all up off y'all behind and get this equipment fixed so y'all sound like something. How we pleasing God? I just need to know how we pleasing God with equipment that's not up to par. How we doing that? How we pleasing God with equipment that's not, we just making a joyful noise. You ain't making a joyful noise, you making noise, but it don't mean it's joyful. Ooh, Lord, let me get off here because I'm gonna make folk mad with me. But like I said, it is what it is. I just feel that as Christians, we need to work on stuff. We need to perfect certain things. We need to we need to do better. If your church doesn't have a keyboard and you looking for a keyboard, this Modx is a good board to get. It's a good board. It's a viable board. I know it's a viable board to get. I know not every church can afford a Nord. Not every church can afford a montage. And know what I suggest that you go and put your church in a position that, will break your budget. This board, I do not believe will break your budget. If you're not willing to go out and at least do this, you need to check whether you need to be in ministry or not. You know what I'm saying? This is a very cost-effective board that you can get for your church. It's like I said, it runs about $2,000. You can probably look online and get them, even cheaper than that, or there may be sales and things like that. But like I said, American Musical Supply, you can get it off of there and pay monthly, So this is a board that I believe will bless your church. It sounds great. It's a great sounding board. User friendly, easy to figure out. You can hook your phone up to it. You ain't got a drummer. It's a nice full sound, and with just that and a click, you can have church all by itself. So if you have a decent sound system, I'm gonna leave that alone. I'm getting off that soapbox. But yeah, invest in it. Those of y'all pastors that might come on this, I sound harsh. I know I sound harsh, but I'm just letting off steam that I've had in me for years, dealing with music ministries and churches and stuff like that. Maybe one day I'll play again. Maybe one day I won't. But I just want what's best for God's people. You know what I'm saying? I want God's people to be willing to invest in the sound The kingdom sound. The kingdom sound, and I'm gonna say this, and I'm gonna leave it alone. He said, "I'm being nice." The kingdom, but the kingdom sound. When you can't preach kingdom. I'm gonna say this, and I'm gonna leave y'all alone. You can't preach kingdom and not be willing to invest in the kingdom sound. And the kingdom sound is not cheap. I rest my case. The kingdom sound is not cheap. Okay? The kingdom sound is not cheap. Okay? I'm going to say that again. The kingdom sound is not cheap. This board is not cheap. It's cost effective, but it's not cheap. You're going to spend $2,000 on this board. It's not cheap, but it'll give you the sound that you need to get. And that's why I'm encouraging pastors. If you're on this live, you don't have a keyboard in. First off, if you ain't got a keyboard in your church, you need to get on this ASAP. Okay, you can take. I want to say it's maybe $200. Take $200. Call American Musical Supply, and get on there and try to work out a deal. They're gonna check your credit. So now, if you pastor, you ought to have some decent credit. But they gonna check the church credit, and they're gonna say, hey, we yay or nay. And if you can get it on a nice little payment plan. Now the thing is if you call American Music Supply and your credit's not up to par, if you can gather up a large enough down payment, they'll let you pay it off in 6 months or something like that without a credit check. The credit check is so that you can get 12 months payment plan or 8 months payment plan. But if you want to try to pay it off in 3 months or 6 months, I believe you can get a large enough down payment. They'll go ahead and send it, and you get the board. The board will be here in 3 days. You'll get it in 3 days. You can get it in time for Sunday service. You know what I'm saying? I'm just trying to let y'all know, anybody that's looking for a board, this is my recommendation. Okay, this is my recommendation. Now, I can't speak for other musicians. Some musicians want you to go out and get a Nord and get a montage. I'm not telling you go out and break your budget, but invest. Yes, I ain't saying go out there and break your budget. If you know your church can't afford a Nord, don't go out try to buy no Nord. If you know your church can't afford a montage, don't try to go out and buy a montage. But this has the montage sounds in it. Okay, this does have montage sounds in it. So, and I'm gonna tell you right straightforward. Most musicians, your average musicians, they ain't gonna use before sounds anyway. So you go out and spend all that money for a montage, they ain't gonna use before sounds in it anyway. Now, would I suggest to just go and get a MIDI controller? Yeah, you can do that. You can do that. You go out and get a MIDI controller and have all your sounds come through the computer. You can do that too. But most MIDI controllers have no sounds built in. Okay, so something happened to your computer, you crap out of luck. With y'all MIDI controller guys, I thought I'd just address the MIDI controller dudes that's on here. Yeah, just go get you a MIDI controller, get you any cheap MIDI controller, and all your sounds is okay. Your computer crashed in the middle of service. What you got? That part. I'm telling you, this has built-in sounds that you don't need a computer. You don't need any of this stuff that I got. You hook it up, plug it into the sound system, and start playing. That's why I like this board. Montage sounds in it. Everything you need already in it. You can even download more sounds in it. Okay, they got a thing called Sound Mondo that you can attach your iPad to this keyboard and then import more sounds into the keyboard. So it's a great board. Okay, it's a great board. A lot of guys is hollering. Some guys is hollering, just get a MIDI controller. Just get a MIDI controller. No, don't. I don't suggest any church to just get a MIDI controller. Okay. If you have a musician that tell you to get, I'm gonna say this to every church. If you have a musician tell you, man, all you need to do is get a $500 MIDI controller, run from him right away. Don't do that. Okay, get you a decent hardware keyboard with sounds in it that are good. Some MIDI controllers might have sounds in it, but those sounds might be trash. Okay, get you a good board with good sounds. This is a good board with good sounds, a decent price point. Get that, and then allow, if a musician want to come in with a computer and bring his own sound, he can do that. He can, same thing you would do with a MIDI controller. But at least you know that if that musician leaves that got the computer with all that sound, at least you know you still got sound coming through your keyboard. Okay. So I never suggest a church to get a MIDI controller. Musicians, y'all do what y'all want. But if it's a church buying a keyboard, I never suggest a church to just buy a MIDI controller. That's the worst thing a church can do. Get you a board that got decent sound in it. Okay? Modx, great price point. All right? This is it. I'm done. I'm out of here. Love all of y'all. I'll be back one of these days to get back to teaching Bible study. I'll let y'all know when that's going to drop. All right? Peace out.